today I'd like to talk about how to know whether a piece of clothing you're intending to buy is a good quality item or a bad quality item. Fashion industry has changed such a lot in the past few years, and it's becoming more and more difficult to know where you can get good quality. It's a very competitive industry, and a high price doesn't necessarily mean you're getting good quality anymore, because everybody is cutting on manufacturing costs, and vice versa. A low price doesn't always necessarily mean bad quality. Brands are also mixing good and bad quality a lot nowadays. But the good news is it's actually pretty easy, and if you stay till the end of the video, you'll be able to look at 3 different features that show you whether a piece of clothing is good or bad quality before you buy it, and not when you're already pulling a rag out of the washing machine. If you like today's video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. If you love fashion, I upload fashion related videos once a week, and I've actually only just started this English channel. I've got a German fashion channel, so if you understand German, you might want to check that out. I'll put a link up here. You'll find many more fashion related videos there. By the way, I always put links to the pieces of clothing I show in my videos down in the description box. Today, most of the items are from my wardrobe, but there are a few new things, and those I will also put below in the description box for you. So 3 things you need to look at to see whether you've got bad quality in front of you: fit, fabric, and workmanship. And I'll start with fit. It's pretty easy to see whether you'll be getting a good fit or not if you're shopping online, because you can take a close look at how it fits the model, how it's hanging on the model, and have a close look at it from all sides. Usually you have a few pictures in the online shop or even a video. And always consider that the online shops make their pieces of clothing look the very best. So if it's not looking good on the model, don't assume it'll look good on you. That's just kidding yourself. Yeah, the retailers try and fool us to make their items look better than they actually are. And especially if you see a model posing in a very awkward way, like draping materials like this and that, it usually means that the item is a really bad fit. And then if you're trying on the piece, you have to look at whether it fits you well, whether it hangs on your body well, whether the seams are in the right places. With blouses, for instance, like here, it's important that the darts are in the right places, so that it really hugs your body. This blouse here is a really good fit. I actually got it from H&M about 10 or 12 years ago, and I've washed it about 50 times. It still looks really good, and it shows you that H&M doesn't always have bad quality items. Then move around a little, lift your arms, do some squats, walk around, see if the piece is clinging anywhere on your body, and make sure it's comfortable in the tummy area, so that if you've got a flat tummy when you're trying it on, you can also have lunch without any problems. Especially with high-waisted pieces like this skirt, they tend to be very uncomfortable if the cut is really cheap. In this case, it's quite stretchy, so I can have a good lunch today. Second thing to look for is fabric. I always go for a high percentage of natural fabric, so I always look at the label before I buy. These pair of trousers from H&M, they're 100% linen. I really like them. So I do buy linen from cheap brands because I found that they're pretty good, for instance from Mango or H&M. The material can be a bit thinner, but as long as it's not see-through, I don't have a problem with that, because in the summer when it gets really hot, I'm actually glad if I haven't got a really thick material. What I also like is fabrics that are near to natural fabrics like viscose or tencel. They are made from natural materials like wood, but then they're chemically treated, and they have a few advantages. They don't crease as easily, and they also don't shrink as often as natural materials tend to do. Talking about shrinking, when you buy an item that is 100% cotton, you can't be sure that it will shrink, because manufacturers use a lot of cheap cotton nowadays. You only know you're getting good quality if it says Pima cotton, mercerized or chinsed cotton on the label. Otherwise, it's a bit of a guessing game, to be honest. That's why I've decided to shoot a video next week where I'll be looking for the perfect white tee made of 100% cotton. And I've bought 5 t-shirts, and I'll be washing them and looking at whether they shrink, what the fit is like, and so on. And hopefully I'll find the perfect white tee. One trick to find out whether you're getting a good quality of viscose is to do a squeeze test. These trousers are made, I think, of 90% viscose. You just sort of scrunch the material for about 10 seconds. And if it comes out really creasy, you know you've got bad quality. And this is not the case here. But then you know that it only looks smooth before you actually squeeze it, because the manufacturer has treated it chemically to make it look good on the hanger. But yeah, when you wash it, when you pull it out the washing machine, it will be a rag. It's different with cotton and linen. If you do the squeeze test there, the pieces will always crease. That's just in the nature of these materials, so that's not a sign of bad quality. So what about chemical fibers like polyester, nylon or acrylic? I actually like a mix of natural and chemical fibers because then you get the best of both worlds. You have the good feeling of natural fibers on your skin, but on the other hand you have the good properties of chemical fibers like not creasing so fast, washing well, the pieces basically living longer. A good rule of thumb is 70-30, so 70% natural fibers, 30% chemical fibers. If you're someone who turns up their nose at chemical fibers like polyester, it's always worth looking closely at the label because in some cases you get pieces that are natural, have a natural material on the outside, like this dress. This is a silk dress, but the lining is polyester. In this case, 100% polyester. And I'm fine with this. I'm just a little bit disappointed because this is actually a German designer brand, Strenes. And when I buy things like this at H&M, I don't really expect a silk lining or a lining made of natural materials, but when I buy from a designer brand, I at least expect it to be viscose or something that feels good on the skin. The chemical fiber I always steer clear of is acrylic in sweaters. It feels like plastic on your skin. It doesn't really keep you warm, but you sweat really quickly. It doesn't wash very well. You get a lot of pilling very quickly, and I actually bought one of these sweaters or a cardigan a few years back. Don't know why I did it. It looks a real mess. Don't know if you can see that in the camera. Yeah, and it's just hanging in my cupboard. I never wear it. I don't know, I'll have to do something with it. I can't throw away things, that's my problem. I'll probably cut it up and use it for cleaning the house or something. Another test you can do when you're buying delicate materials is check whether they're see-through. Hold them against the light, have a close look. Maybe hold your hand behind them, because that is where manufacturers always cut cost. Thin materials are much cheaper than thick materials, so always beware. And what you can also do is pull on the material a little bit and see if it goes back into shape or if the shape changes once you've pulled it. That's also a sign of a piece being dead cheap. One thing to look out for when you're buying prints is to look at whether the print is going in the same direction on all pieces of the item. So for instance, if you've got a blouse, is the print on the pocket going the same direction as the rest of the blouse? And you have this problem also with designer brands. They also don't do it properly. For instance, here you see on the side seam, the print hasn't been sewn together properly. It's just much more expensive to do that. They also cut cost on things like that. It's not that obvious with smaller prints like this flower print. As you can see here, they've also not really sewn it together properly, but you can't notice it. But if you've got a bold print like this, always look out for that. I mean, in this case, it's okay on the seam, but on the pockets, it can really look dead cheap. One tip on color fading when you buy black items, like jeans for instance, make sure that the percentage of elastane isn't too high, ideally under 5%, otherwise you'll have grey jeans after 3 washes. And I'll just give you an example. These 2 shirts, this one I bought 1 year ago, this one I bought 4 years ago. This one has elastane in it, 5%, and it's grey as you can see. This one is still black after 4 years. It hasn't got any elastane in it. It's 60% viscose, 40% polyester, and I love it. It's really stretchy. You don't really need elastane to get a stretched material nice and stretchy and comfy. I love it. It's got a few holes. I'm still wearing it, so it's from a German brand you probably don't know, and it only costs about 30 euros. Then I always do a smell test before I buy things, especially with faux leather. It's usually chemically treated to make it feel nice and soft like real leather, and things that smell like that I don't really want to wear on my skin. Can't be good for your health if it's that smelly. Same goes for jumpers or sweaters. If they have a bit of a moldy smell, it usually means they've been made of wool remnants, so also a sign of bad quality. The last thing to look out for is workmanship. One thing you've probably all experienced is when t-shirts, when the seams of the t-shirts twist after you've washed them, like here with this t-shirt. It's a very common problem, and the reason is that the manufacturer has cut cost again. What they do is they don't cut out the different pieces of the t-shirt vertically from a piece of fabric. They cut it out in all different directions to get the most out of that fabric, and that's when this happens. And this wasn't a cheap t-shirt, by the way. It cost me 40 euros. I won't name the brand now, but it's really annoying. But So you have to have a look very closely at the texture of the fabric. Is it going in the same direction on all pieces? And that's something I'll be looking at very closely when I do my t-shirt test next week. When I wash them, have a look, are the seams still where they are supposed to be, or have they twisted already? Next thing to look out for is stitching. Always look on the inside of an item before you buy it, because that's also where manufacturers cut costs. They always assume you only look on the outside, and if it's looking good, you buy it. But the inside always tells you what quality you get. Always look out for, if a seam is bulky and uneven, it's a sign of bad quality. The best thing you can get are French seams, like here. You don't have any raw edges, and it's really nice on the skin. And this stitching is really dense, which is always good. It makes it really robust. You can also pull on the seam a little bit to see if any holes appear, because if that's the case, then it's really poor quality. So always look at the seams before you buy. And I didn't do that on this dress before I bought it. A big mistake. It looks really good from the outside. It's a bit outdated now. I bought it in 2012. It's a designer dress, by the way. If you look on the inside, it's really, really messy. Look at these seams. And just imagine that on your skin, really bulky. And the biggest problem was that I had holes in the seams after wearing it once, or trying it on actually. I just lifted my arms and had holes in there. I had to have it repaired, I think, twice, and I haven't worn it. I only wore it once. Yeah, I won't name the brand or the designer. I can just tell you that she's married to a very famous footballer, so you might want to take a guess. What you can also do when you're buying wool, you can rub two pieces of the item together for about 10 seconds. Best you do it somewhere in the shop where nobody sees you, otherwise you get some odd looks. And then if you see little knots, that means it's bad quality, and you'll have a problem when you've washed it once. You'll have the usual pilling problem. In this case, this is a good quality item, but that's a good test, because usually you can't really say what the quality is before you buy, quality of wool is before you buy it. Buttons are a great indicator of poor quality, so always take a close look at buttons. Are they sewn on tightly, or do they fall off when you only look at them? Best is you unbutton the whole piece and button it up again, and then if there are any threads sticking out on the buttonholes, it's usually a bad sign, and this is not the case here. Yeah, and a good sign of quality, or a sign of good quality, is always if you have a spare button on the garment. It means the manufacturer is focusing on good quality, or he wants it to last longer than pre-washes. Same goes for zips, by the way. Best you unzip and zip the piece about 10 times. If it's not smooth, it's not worth buying. Yeah, then a general tip, always look in the men's department. For instance, if you're looking for a sweater in the winter, they usually have better materials, better mixes of materials, thicker materials than the women's department. You get good value for money there. And with sweaters, you wear them loosely anyway, so you can easily buy a small men's size. I hope you liked my video and found my tips helpful. If so, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Yeah, some of these things, or most of them, you probably already knew, but you tend to forget these things, I find, so that's why I decided to make this video with a small summary of the whole thing. Thanks for joining in, and have a great week, everybody. See ya!